Welcome to Zoe Stories. I just wanted to try lipstick. Now I'm addicted to being a girl. I never thought a little lipstick could change everything. But here I am, standing in front of the mirror, breath shallow, hands trembling, watching someone who doesn't quite look like me staring back. And for the first time, I don't want to look away. My name's Noah, I'm 22, and by all accounts, I'm just a normal guy. I study architecture at a local university. I work part-time at a used bookstore. I wear jeans and muted t-shirts, keep my head down, and avoid attention. That's always been my comfort zone. Being invisible. I live with my girlfriend, Leah, in a modest but cozy one-bedroom apartment in the city. She's the opposite of me in every way, bold, fashionable, radiant. She works in fashion PR and thrives in loud, fast-paced environments. Her world is color, noise, drama. Mine is grayscale and quiet. Still, somehow we work. Or, at least we used to. Lately, things have been off. Between her work trips, my late-night study sessions, and a growing emotional distance neither of us can quite explain, there's been a disconnect. She still kisses me goodbye in the morning, still sends the occasional love you text, but it feels like something's unraveling. Slowly, silently. And while that silence grows, something else has started to wake up inside me. It started small, innocent even. I'd catch myself watching Leah in the mornings as she did her makeup. The way her hands moved so confidently across her face, dabbing blush, blending eyeshadow, shaping her lips. There was something mesmerizing about it, almost meditative. At first, I told myself I was just fascinated, curious, appreciative of her world. But the truth ran deeper. It was a quiet Saturday morning when it first happened. Leah had just left for brunch with her coworkers, and I was supposed to be reviewing floor plans. But when I walked past the bathroom and saw her makeup bag left open on the counter, I froze. That lipstick, deep red with a golden shimmer, sat there like a forbidden secret. My heart thudded. I stood there for what felt like 10 minutes, just staring at it. And then, I picked it up. I uncapped it slowly. Vanilla. Sweet and soft. My hands shook as I leaned toward the mirror. Just one swipe, I told myself. Just one. The color glided across my lips like silk. I stared at the reflection. I didn't recognize the person in the mirror. And yet, I did. Something inside me clicked. My breath hitched. For a moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years alive. The thrill was so overwhelming, I didn't even hear the footsteps in the hallway. The click of the neighbor's door startled me so badly, I smeared the lipstick and almost dropped the tube. Panicking, I wiped it off poorly with a tissue. My lips were stained, my cheeks flushed. The moment was gone, but something had been unlocked. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying it over and over, the color, the scent, the way I looked. I told myself it was just a one-time thing. But the next morning, I found myself thinking about it again. Then again the next day. And the next. One evening, Leah worked late. I used the time to open her wardrobe. Just to look. Her clothes hung like another language, soft, flowing, mysterious. I touched the fabric of a pale pink blouse, then pulled it out. Then another. Soon, I was in front of the mirror again, this time in her blouse and leggings, with light lip gloss. I told myself it was just pretend, a fantasy, but it didn't feel fake. It felt like me. I'd always known I was different. In high school, I hated locker rooms. I never felt right in typical guy conversations. But I buried it all, pushed it down, laughed at the jokes, played along. But now, the mask was slipping. I was starting to see someone else inside me, someone I hadn't dared acknowledge. And I liked her. Still, I was terrified. Terrified Leah would find out. Terrified of what it meant. Terrified I might never be able to stop. Because something in that mirror, red-lipped, soft-eyed, graceful, was pulling me in like a tide. And for the first time in my life, I didn't want to swim back. The next few days were a blur. I'd go about my daily routine, attending lectures, working shifts at the bookstore, smiling at Leah when she came home, but inside, I was consumed. I couldn't stop thinking about her clothes, her makeup, her perfume. Every detail of her femininity felt like a magnetic pull I couldn't resist. And the lipstick, that lipstick haunted me. It became a secret I both feared and cherished. When Leah worked late or stayed out with friends, I'd sneak into the bathroom, take a careful breath, and apply it again. Just the lipstick at first, then a little mascara, then blush. It was like building a mask, and yet every layer made me feel more real. One Thursday night, Leah texted saying she'd be out late. Work dinner. Some high-end restaurant in Midtown. I had hours. I didn't even hesitate. As soon as the door shut behind her, I went straight to the closet. My heart thudded with excitement and guilt. I pulled out one of her silky blouses, a champagne-colored one with pearl buttons. Then a black pencil skirt I'd seen her wear for client meetings. The fabric was tight and smooth, hugging places I never thought I'd have. Then came the tights. Carefully, slowly, I rolled them up my legs. It was like a second skin, soft, snug, electrifying. I added a light cardigan and slipped into a pair of her low heels. The unfamiliar height made me wobble, but it also gave me a rush of elegance. Next stop, the mirror. With trembling hands, I tied my hair back, added a pair of gold studs, and layered on Leah's foundation, mascara, and that lipstick. My lipstick now. When I stepped back, I barely recognized myself. And yet there she was. Someone beautiful, delicate, shy, but proud. She needed a name. My breath caught in my throat as I whispered it aloud. Nina. That's what she felt like. That's who I felt like. I was Nina now. But with the thrill came danger. Every creak in the hallway made my heart leap. Every phone vibration made me panic. What if Leah came home early? What if the neighbors saw me through the window? What if someone knocked on the door? I rushed to close the curtains and double-lock the door. Even so, I couldn't stop. I was already too far in. With the mirror as my audience, I struck a few shy poses. 1 foot forward, hips tilted, chin raised. I tried smiling, then smirking. It felt good. Too good. But when I heard a noise in the hallway, just a cat, I realized I jumped so hard I almost knocked over a lamp. The fear was overwhelming, but the temptation stronger. Each time I became Nina, it felt easier, more natural. And the scariest part? I didn't want to stop. Soon I started planning around my Nina time. If Leah left for yoga, I'd mentally calculate how long I had. If she mentioned an overnight retreat, I'd spend hours imagining what Nina would wear, how she'd pose, how she'd walk. I began watching makeup tutorials in secret, practicing walking in heels when no one was around. I ordered a cheap blonde wig online, telling myself it was for a costume project. It wasn't. That first time I wore the wig, I sat on the edge of our bed in full Nina mode, wig, makeup, tights, and a soft off-shoulder sweater, and stared at my reflection for a full hour. Every now and then, I'd touch the wig, tilt my head, and say the name, Nina. And every time I said it, I believed it more. But with each new layer of confidence came new levels of fear. One day, Leah came home earlier than expected. I was in the bathroom, halfway into a green dress I had no business wearing. My face was halfway done, foundation, eyeliner, and lipstick already on. When the front door creaked open, I froze. Hey babe, I forgot my charger, Leah called. I looked in the mirror. I couldn't move. Couldn't think. I scrambled to rip the dress off, smearing makeup in the process. My fingers fumbled with the zipper. I wiped my lips raw with toilet paper, tossed the wig under the sink, and pulled on a hoodie. When she entered the hallway, I was sitting on the floor, red-faced and breathless. She raised an eyebrow. Everything okay? I nodded too quickly. Just dropped my phone behind the cabinet. She stared at me for a second longer than usual, then smiled. You're weird, she said, kissed my forehead and left. I stayed frozen for 10 full minutes, heart hammering in my chest. That was too close. But the rush? Unmatched. Leah started asking questions after that. You've been acting strange lately. Why were my mascara and lipstick in different places? Why did I find my blouse inside out in the hamper? I made excuses. Lots of them. I was cleaning the bathroom. I bumped your makeup bag. I wore your shirt by accident after laundry. She didn't believe all of them. I could see it in her eyes. There was doubt, suspicion, but she never pressed too hard. She trusted me, and that made it worse. The guilt grew alongside the obsession. I was lying to her, daily, living a double life in the apartment we built together. Sometimes, I'd sit in Nina's clothes and stare at my reflection, asking myself, is this just a phase? Or am I finally discovering who I am? I didn't know, but I knew one thing. The more I became Nina, the more I didn't want to go back. Days passed. I told myself I wouldn't do it again. I boxed up the lipstick and dress, shoved them under the bed, and tried to pretend nothing happened. But Nina wouldn't stay silent. She whispered to me every night. Every time I passed a makeup ad, saw a woman in heels, heard the soft click-clack on a tile floor. She stirred inside me. And after a week of pretending, I gave in. It started with just the lipstick. That same cherry red that made my lips feel alive. Then came the eyeliner. Then the concealer. I watched tutorial after tutorial, obsessing over blending techniques, contour hacks, and what eyeshadow suited my skin tone. Leah worked late shifts, so my evenings were free. Free to become her. Nina was no longer an accident. She was a craving. I went further than before. I bought a new wig online, chestnut brown with soft curls that framed my face perfectly. I ordered 2 dresses under the name, and Rose, and picked them up from a locker to keep Leah from noticing. I even bought heels modest at first, then bold. Each night I transformed. I wasn't just putting on makeup, I was shedding Noah. Every stroke of blush brought me closer to the person I didn't even know I was missing. But there was always the danger. I kept one ear out for the elevator ding in our hallway. Leah had been coming home early more often lately, and I lived in constant fear of being caught halfway through contouring or wearing her perfume. I double-checked locks. I cleaned obsessively afterward, scrubbing off mascara until my skin hurt. But no matter how much I cleaned, Nina always left traces. A stray eyelash in the sink. A faint scent of rose lingering in the air. I started talking to her. Not out loud, but in my head. She wasn't just a persona. She was a version of me that felt safe. Happy. Whole. And then it got riskier. One night, I went too far. Leah had texted. Running late. Be home by 10. It was 7 p.m. That gave me 3 hours. I went all out, Nina in full glory. Burgundy lipstick, smoky eyes, black cocktail dress, and 4-inch heels. I poured myself a glass of wine and danced around the living room to sod. I even recorded a short video on my phone just for myself. I looked so alive. And then I heard the elevator ding. My blood turned cold. Panic exploded in my chest. It was 8:36. Way too early. I scrambled, raced to the bedroom, threw off the wig, kicked off the heels. But my lipstick was still perfect. My dress was still zipped. The makeup wouldn't come off fast enough. The keys jingled at the door. I had 2 choices. Run to the bathroom, or own it. I chose the bathroom. Just as the door opened, I slammed it shut behind me and turned on the faucet. My hands trembled as I wiped furiously. Leah called. Hey babe? Why is the living room scented? I didn't answer. She knocked. Noah. Be out in a sec. I yelled, my voice cracking. My face was a smeared mess, lipstick down my chin, mascara raccooning my eyes. I splashed water on my cheeks, scrubbing so hard it stung. But deep inside, a thrill bubbled up beneath the fear. Because for just a moment, I had almost been caught. Nina had almost been seen. After Leah went to bed, I looked at myself in the mirror. Half makeup, puffy eyes, red cheeks. But something was glowing beneath it all. I whispered to my reflection, "You're real." And I believed it. I started dressing even when I wasn't sure I had time. Nina became necessary. It wasn't just late evenings anymore. I began waking up early to moisturize, trim my brows, and apply light concealer. Tiny, harmless things that didn't seem wrong, but made me feel right. I began to refer to Noah as him in my head. Nina wasn't a costume anymore. She was the real one. The free one. And I hated how much I loved it. One afternoon, I came home early. I was supposed to go to the gym. Instead, I slipped into a pink velvet bodysuit I had secretly ordered online, paired it with Leah's white skater skirt, which I swore I'd never touch, and posed in front of the mirror. The bodysuit hugged my body in a way that made my heart skip. I posed. Click. Took a selfie. Then another. And another. And then, without thinking, I opened a private Instagram account. At Nina.unspoken. I uploaded the photo, heart pounding like a drum in my ears. 1 like. Then 3. Then a comment. Gorgeous. From a stranger. A real person. The dopamine hit was like nothing else. That night, over dinner, Leah said something that made my fork freeze midair. You've been different lately. I looked up too fast. Different how? She shrugged. More distracted. Tired, maybe. And I swear I smelled my vanilla lipstick in the bathroom this morning. I tried to laugh. Maybe it's just your imagination. She didn't laugh back. Maybe, she said slowly. Just weird vibes. My palms got sweaty. I choked on my water. Leah moved on, talking about her day. But I wasn't listening anymore. She knew something. Or worse, she was testing me. The next day, I worked from home. I told myself I wouldn't dress up. I'd stay focused, be normal. By noon, Nina had taken over again. I wore a deep red turtleneck dress, thigh-high socks, and curled the brunette wig until it bounced perfectly. I even used bronzer for the first time. Then I made a TikTok, just a short video, lip-syncing a trending audio about secrets. It got 100 views in an hour. My heart raced. But as the likes rolled in, a terrible thought hit me. What if someone recognized the apartment? The couch in the background? The light fixture? The reflection in the mirror? I deleted the video instantly, but it was too late. Nina was growing, demanding to be seen. I was spiraling. That night, as I scrubbed off my eyeliner, Leah walked past the cracked bathroom door. She paused. I didn't see her right away, but I saw her reflection in the mirror. She wasn't moving. Her eyes were locked on my face. The smudged mascara. The faint outline of a once bold lip. I turned to say something, anything. But she was already gone. I didn't sleep that night. The fantasy of Nina, the thrill, the softness, the power, had turned into something sharper. Something dangerous. Every new wig, every online comment, every like was another brick in a tower I couldn't climb down from. I didn't know how much longer I could keep lying. To her. To myself. To everyone. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. Leah hadn't brought up the makeup again. She hadn't looked me in the eye during breakfast. She barely kissed me goodbye when she left for work. It was like a string had been pulled between us, tight and invisible, but it hummed with tension every time we moved through the apartment. She knew. I didn't know how much, but it was enough to change something between us. And I was terrified. Terrified of what she saw. Terrified of what I wanted. Terrified that maybe, deep down, I wanted her to see it all. One evening, I broke my own rules. Leah was out late. Some work dinner. I told myself I'd stay in jeans, keep it low-key. But the second the door clicked shut, Nina took over. I went all in. This time it was different. Not just a pretty dress and lipstick. I wanted to become someone else entirely. I shaved my arms, styled my wig to match Leah's loose waves, and even painted my nails nude pink, one of her shades. Then I pulled out the red satin dress I'd been hiding for weeks. It fit like a second skin. I walked to the full-length mirror and froze. For the first time, I didn't just look like a man pretending to be a woman. I was Nina. Noah didn't exist in that moment. He couldn't. Then I made the mistake. I recorded a video. Just a soft, slow dance to a sultry track. Lit candles in the background. I framed the shot perfectly. Just my face, my lips moving in sync, a slight twirl of the hips. I watched it back and smiled. It was beautiful. Before I could talk myself out of it, I uploaded it to Nina's private Instagram. And forgot to double-check the settings. 3 hours later, I was still dressed. I had curled up on the couch, wrapped in a throw blanket, scrolling through the few comments. "You're stunning." "Wow, this gives me chills."
DM?
I smiled. Then my phone buzzed.
From Leah.
What is this? My heart dropped. A screenshot of my video, posted publicly, on my account, not Nina's. I froze.
No.
I had posted it to the wrong account, not Nina's private one.
Mine.
My personal, friends and family, real-life account. Noah's. I threw the blanket off, scrambled to delete it, but it was too late. Dozens of views. Multiple comments. One from my coworker. "Bro." I deleted it. My hands were shaking. The silence of the apartment was suddenly deafening. Then the front door opened. I turned slowly. Leah stood there. She was holding her phone. Her face unreadable. We stared at each other for what felt like a lifetime. I didn't mean to. I began, but my voice cracked. She stepped inside slowly. "You were wearing my dress in that video," she said, voice cold. "And that lipstick is mine too." I was just trying to understand something about myself. I didn't want you to find out like this." Leah set her keys on the table. "And what were you trying to understand, Noah?" she said. "Because this isn't just curiosity. You've been hiding this. Lying." Her voice wasn't angry. It was hurt. That hurt was worse than yelling. I collapsed onto the couch, head in my hands. "I didn't know how to explain it," I whispered. "It started with one lipstick. Then I couldn't stop. I didn't plan it. It just felt right. But I knew if I told you, I'd lose you." She stood across the room, arms crossed, staring at me. No, at Nina. Because I was still in the dress. Still in full makeup. Still her. "And who are you right now?" she asked quietly. "Noah." I didn't answer. Because I didn't know. She finally stepped forward, sat down beside me. And for a long time, we sat in silence. Then she said, "So, are you gay? Do you want to be a girl? Is this a kink thing?"
No.
"I mean, maybe? I don't know," I stammered. "I don't feel like a different person. I just feel more me when I'm like this." I turned toward her, eyes full of shame. And I hate myself for it. She looked away, then back at me. "You shouldn't," she said softly. "But you're mad." "I'm hurt," she corrected. "Because I thought I knew everything about you. But clearly, you're still figuring yourself out." Tears welled in my eyes. She stood, walked to the bedroom, and came back holding a makeup remover wipe. "Take this," she said, handing it to me. "Let's start with the truth." I looked at the wipe in my hand. It felt heavy, like a choice. Wipe it all off and go back to Noah. Or stay like this and face everything that came with being Nina. But maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to choose one forever. Maybe Leah and I could find a way to understand this, together. My hands trembled as I wiped the lipstick from my lips. The red smeared, streaked down my chin. But beneath it, there I was. Not Noah. Not Nina. Just me. I expected things to get better after that night. But the truth? Everything got more complicated. Leah wasn't cold, but she wasn't warm either. We didn't talk about it again. Not really. She didn't ask me to dress up. She didn't forbid me either. It was like we were both pretending it hadn't happened. Except it had. And it hung in the air between us like smoke. I stopped dressing around the apartment. But I didn't stop being Nina. Instead, I took her underground. Late at night, when Leah was asleep, I would tiptoe to the living room, open the locked cabinet, and bring Nina back to life in total silence. No heels. No clicks. No whispers. Just lipstick and loneliness. One night, I couldn't sleep. The anxiety was unbearable. Every version of myself felt wrong. I wasn't Noah, but I couldn't fully be Nina either. I pulled up my private Instagram, which I hadn't touched in days. New followers. New messages. One stood out. "We're doing a private makeup party in the city. Girls like you belong here. DM me." I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. It was probably a trap. A scam. A joke. Or it was real. I replied. 2 hours later, I had an address, a password, and strict instructions. Come as your real self. The party was in a loft near downtown. Unmarked door. Password at the buzzer. My heels tapped softly as I walked in, body trembling under a fitted jumpsuit and black jacket. My wig was on, makeup light, but flawless. Nina was terrified but alive. The place was stunning. Soft music, velvet couches, fairy lights strung across the ceiling. And people. Girls. Like me. Some in dresses. Some in jeans. Some elegant, some wild. All real. For the first time, I didn't feel like a freak. I felt seen. A woman with a sleek ponytail and burgundy lipstick smiled as I passed. You're new. I nodded. First time. She looked me over, not with judgment, but with recognition. Well, Nina, she said, as if she knew. Welcome. We talked.
Laughed.
Shared stories. No one asked where I worked. No one cared what my birth name was. I was her. And I never wanted to leave. But reality wasn't done with me. As I slipped into the bathroom to fix my lip gloss, my phone buzzed again. A missed call. From Leah. Then a text. Where are you? Are you okay? Then another. Noah, if you don't answer me right now, I'm calling the police. My blood turned to ice. I had been gone for hours. I hadn't left a note. Hadn't responded. She must have thought I'd disappeared. I ripped off my wig. Smeared off my lip gloss. Rushed into a cab in total panic. When I burst through the door of our apartment, Leah was crying. She rushed toward me and slapped my arm. Are you insane? You vanished. I thought you were hurt or dead. I tried to explain. I went to this place. I had to see if there were others like. Like what? She said, her voice breaking. Other liars? Other people who sneak off in wigs and lipstick instead of telling the truth. I couldn't breathe. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't want to scare you off. Well, congratulations, she snapped. You did it anyway. I stood in the doorway, broken. Then I said the thing I never meant to say. I'm not sure I want to stop. She blinked. What? I think this is who I am. Or part of who I am. I don't know yet. But I know that when I'm Nina, I don't hate myself. The silence was painful. Finally, she looked at me and said, I don't know if I can do this. I reached into my bag and pulled out the same lipstick I first tried weeks ago, the one that started all of this. Soft pink. I held it in my palm. A weapon. A mirror. A confession. I set it on the table. If you want me to stop, throw it away, I whispered. Leah stared at it. She didn't move. Her hand twitched, but stayed still. I need time, she said finally. And you need to figure out who you are. She left the lipstick on the table and walked into the bedroom. I sat on the couch. Lipstick between us. A future I couldn't see. Half of me wanted to run. The other half wanted to bloom. Days passed. Then a week. Leah barely spoke to me. We still shared a bed, but we were worlds apart. Sometimes she'd turn away before I could say goodnight. Other times I'd hear her sigh quietly, like she wanted to reach out, but didn't know how. I didn't blame her. I didn't even know how to explain me. Was I Noah pretending to be Nina? Or Nina pretending to be Noah? The line was blurred now. Too blurred to separate. I stopped dressing up for a while. Packed the wigs into a shoebox. Locked the makeup drawer. Told myself it was the right thing. But my reflection betrayed me. No matter how clean-shaven or plain I kept myself, I could still feel Nina just under the surface. Restless, soft, unfinished. And when I passed by the bathroom mirror late one night, I caught myself imagining again. The blush. The eyeliner. The lips. Just one more time. Leah noticed. She caught me one morning, standing there too long in front of the mirror, fingers hovering over my face like I could paint myself whole again. She didn't say anything. Just watched. And walked away. That silence hurt more than yelling ever could. Then one afternoon, I got a message from the woman at the makeup party. Photos from the night are up. You're in a few winking face. My heart stopped. Photos? Where? Public? I clicked the link. There I was, laughing, dancing, even sipping from a champagne glass, completely Nina. The images were tasteful, beautiful even, but I recognized the wallpaper in one of them. It was the same photo backdrop Leah's best friend used in her party rental business. Suddenly, my blood ran cold. Was it possible someone else saw those photos? That night, Leah was quiet again. Too quiet. Dinner was awkward. She didn't ask about my day. She didn't mention the photos. But something in her eyes had changed. Like she knew something I didn't. Or had made a decision she wasn't ready to share. After she went to bed, I stayed up. Just me and the lipstick. I pulled it from the drawer and stared at it again, the same soft pink shade. My heart thudded as I uncapped it. I rolled it up, held it to my lips,
and paused.
Then I heard a noise behind me. I turned slowly, lipstick still in hand. Leah stood in the hallway. She had her phone in one hand, and in the other, a makeup brush. She didn't speak right away. Then, I saw the photos. My breath caught. I didn't mean for anyone to post them. I didn't know they would. I know, she said softly. But seeing you like that. She stepped closer. You looked happy. My eyes burned. I was. She looked down at the lipstick in my hand. Are you going to put it on? I nodded. She moved closer. And then she held up the brush. Then let me help. Tears slipped down my cheeks as she stepped in front of me. With gentle hands, she dabbed a bit of foundation under my eyes. Then a hint of blush. Then finally, without a word, she guided my hand and helped me apply the lipstick. Our eyes met in the mirror. She smiled.
Weakly. Sadly.
But real. And whispered, I don't know where this ends, but I want to at least understand it. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Her face went pale. What? I asked. She slowly turned the screen to me. An Instagram message. From her cousin. Hey, is this Noah in the photos? I stared at the screen. Everything in me went cold.
Leah looked up at me.
We have to talk.